It happened in February of 2022, off the coast of Trinidad. 5 commercial divers, Christopher Boudrum, Fizal Kurban, Rishi Nagasar, Kazim Ali Jr., and Yusuf Henry, were sent to do a routine maintenance job on a 30-inch underwater pipeline for the Peria Fuel Trading Company. It was supposed to be a standard day, but in the world of deep-sea diving, there is no such thing as standard. The men were working inside a hyperbaric chamber, a dry space underwater. They were removing a flange from the pipe. What they didn't know, what no one had properly checked, was that a massive pressure differential had built up. In the industry, they call it delta P, differential pressure. It is a silent, invisible killer. When that seal was broken, the ocean decided it wanted to be inside that pipe, and it didn't care what was in its way. Suddenly, a violent, terrifying roar filled the chamber. It wasn't just water. It was a vacuum before any of them could even scream. All 5 men were sucked into the 30-inch pipe, like debris into a vacuum cleaner. Imagine it. 1 second, you are standing in a lit chamber. The next, you are being dragged hundreds of feet into a pitch-black, narrow steel tube filled with a mixture of oil, sludge, and seawater. Christopher Boudrum was the only one who eventually made it out, and his account of what happened inside that pipe is the stuff of absolute madness. He described being tumbled through the darkness, his mask ripped off, his lungs burning with the taste of oil and salt. The pipe was only 30 inches wide. You can turn around. You can barely move your arms. He eventually found a small air pocket, a tiny space where the oil hadn't reached the top of the pipe yet. In the total, crushing silence of the underwater pipe, he started to hear them. The muffled, desperate cries of his friends. They were alive. They were scattered at different points in the darkness, trapped in their own tiny pockets of air, gasping, praying. Christopher managed to crawl inch by agonizing inch through the sludge. He found some of the others. They held on to each other in the dark, their skin slick with oil, the air getting thinner with every breath. Christopher knew they couldn't stay there. He told the others he was going to try to swim toward the entrance. To get help, he had to breathe the oily water, feeling his way through the lightless tube, until finally he saw a faint, shimmering glow. He reached the surface of the vertical section of the pipe. He was pulled out, covered in black grime, coughing up oil, screaming that his friends were still down there. He told the authorities exactly where they were. He told them they were breathing. He told them they were waiting. This is where the story shifts from a tragedy to a horror movie for the next several hours. And then the next several days, a crowd gathered at the surface. Professional divers, including the son of one of the men trapped inside, were there with their gear. They were ready to go in. They knew the layout. They were certain they could get them out. But the company, Peria, said no. They claimed it was too dangerous for a rescue mission. They spent hours analyzing the risks. They sat in air-conditioned offices, looking at charts, while 60 feet below them, 4 men were still alive in a pipe, waiting for a hand that would never come. The families on the shore could only watch in agony. Fizal Kurban's son actually went into the water, desperate to save his father, but he was ordered out. The company allegedly blocked the rescue efforts, choosing protocol and safety assessments over the lives of the men gasping for air in the dark for over 24 hours. Those air pockets held, but as the time ticked by, the tide changed. The water level in the pipe began to rise. Can you imagine being one of those 4 men? You hear the distant thuds of the surface. People are up there. You are waiting for the splash of a diver, for a light to pierce the darkness of the pipe. But the light never comes. Slowly, the air pocket shrinks. The oil rises to your chin, then your mouth, and you realize no one is coming. It took days to recover the body. Later, an official commission of inquiry was launched. The report was scathing. It called the company's actions gross negligence. It pointed out that the men were left to die in a slow, agonizing way, while the means to save them was sitting right there on the surface. The report actually recommended that the company be charged with corporate manslaughter. They had treated the lives of these men like an entry on a balance sheet. Christopher Boudrum survived, but he says he never truly left that pipe. He still sees the darkness. He still hears the voices of his friends asking him why the help never arrived. The ocean is a terrifying place, but sometimes the coldest thing in the water is the people on the shore.